Hello, Year 3. Here is lesson 2 for science that you'll be doing on Friday of this week. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. So we're continuing to look at food groups and types of nutrition today. So I know that you've had your WOW day on Monday, so you are really going to be experts for today's lesson. Okay, so there's today's date and the WALT for today. So the WALT today is to compare and group animals by their diet. So if you'd like to just pause the recording so that you can write that down in your books. Good. Okay, and have a look at those steps to success underneath. We're going to recap on food groups and nutrition that is in food today and thinking about the right amounts of nutrition and nutrients that are in food. Have a think about what happens when you eat the wrong amounts of nutrition and nutrients, and can you compare the diets of different animals today? Okay, so this is what we looked at last time. We looked at how we can group foods in different ways. We can put them into the food groups, which is on the left-hand side there, and then we can also look at the types of nutrients in foods. So this diagram here shows types of foods like carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, proteins, fats, and dairy. But what we looked at last week as well, that some foods could go into more than one group. Something like a potato. So a potato is a vegetable, but it also has a lot of carbohydrate in it. So which group would you put it in? The same with cereals. Cereals contain a lot of carbohydrates, but they also have a lot of vitamins and minerals in them. So which group would that go into? Cereals also contain a lot of fiber, and that doesn't appear anywhere on this diagram here. So last time we thought about being a little bit more scientific and looking at what nutrients are in foods, and then we had this diagram on the right-hand side, which splits foods into their type of nutrient which is in the food and the nutrient which is the most in that food. So if you look at bread at the top here, what's most in bread is carbohydrate. What's most in potatoes is again carbohydrate. Some foods can again go into more than one group. Here we've got broccoli. Broccoli contains a lot of water. It also has a lot of vitamins in it, which is why it's in this group here. A little reminder, as well as eating healthily, we also need to remember to drink a lot of water. So to keep healthy, you need as much water as your body loses each day. So on average, an adult needs up to 2.5 litres of water a day. That's about 8 large glasses of water. Children need to drink between 1.3 and 2.1 litres of water a day. So again, remember that water can come from foods. It doesn't just need to come from a glass of water, but it also can come from a glass of fruit juice. The total amount of water you need is made up of the water contained in foods that you eat and the water that you drink. You cannot rely on food to make up the water that you need each day. You must make sure that you're drinking as well. Okay, and on the left-hand side, there are some foods there which do contain a lot of water. But remember to drink water as well during the day. So let's think about the nutrients that are needed by humans. This pie chart, so this diagram here, shows the right amount of foods to eat in your diet. So what you eat for each meal or each day should have a balance of these foods. So you should be eating carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, proteins, fats, dairy, fiber, all of those things in our 2 diagrams. And this diagram shows you how much of each you should be eating. Excuse me. So you should be eating more carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables than fats and dairy. They've got a smaller wedge on that pie, haven't they? So that shows you shouldn't be eating as much cheese as you do your fruit and vegetables. If you look under each one, it gives you some little hints and tips. So fruits and vegetables, you should be aiming to eat around about 5 fruits and vegetables a day. That's not 5 bananas, that means 5 different fruits and vegetables a day. Your protein, you know, is very important for your growth and repair of your body. And as children, this slice of the pie should be slightly bigger because you are growing a lot at the moment. This section here, fats, chocolates, sweets, shouldn't be eating too much of that. And obviously these parts of the diagram, you should be eating more fruit and vegetables and more carbohydrates than the other parts. So what about our nutrients? Well, this again is very, very similar. You should be eating more of what's at the top here, the carbohydrates, than at the bottom here of the fats. You also need to make sure that you're getting a good balance of fiber, water, and vitamins and minerals. Here's a diagram which is called the Eat Well Guide. And this helps you to get a balance of healthier and more sustainable food. And it shows you how much of what to eat overall should come from each food group. So again, this is showing you your carbohydrates and your fruits and vegetables is what you should be eating more of. Look at the oils and fats on this diagram here. It's a very small bit. So we shouldn't be eating too much butter, oil, fat, margarine. Oh, look at this group down here. It doesn't even appear on the diagram. So it says eat less often and in small amounts: chocolate, cakes, sauces, biscuits, and crisps. The biggest chunk you can see is our fruits and vegetables. Here's water. Okay, so we need to be drinking between 6 and 8 glasses of water a day. Okay, things like fruit juice obviously contain a lot of water, but sometimes they also contain quite a lot of sugar. So just beware of some of the fruit drinks that you are having. Okay, what I'd like you to have a look at now is what's in this corner of the diagram here. And this is what appears on food packaging. All food that's produced in this country has to have this sort of label on it. And this tells you the amounts of carbohydrate, fat, and sugar that is in your food. And this just helps you to have a healthy and balanced diet. So here's another cupboard or fridge challenge for you. Today, I just want you to get one item of food or drink and see if you can find something that looks like this on the packaging. Are you ready? I'm going to join in too. Okay, you just need to bring one today. You ready? Off we go. I'm back. Okay, I'll just give you a couple more moments just to see what you can find in your cupboards or your fridge. Whatever you found, has it got one of those types of labels on it? Okay, is everybody back? Okay, I'm just going to unshare my screen for a moment so that I can show you what I have found today. Okay, and you can decide whether you think this is a healthy food, something that we should be having a lot of in our diets, in our daily food plan, or it's something that we should keep to a minimum. So here is my first food that I found today. It's some very nice extra mature cheese that I like a lot of, but should I be having a lot of this food? Okay, can you have a look at this here? So can you see all of those red sections there? Now, this is telling you that this cheese has a lot of fat in it. And actually, it has something called saturated fat in it, which is really not very good for you. So this type of food we should only be having in moderation. That means in small amounts. You would not be having cheese for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So cheese, only small amounts of. Okay, I found something else as well. So I've also got some tins of tuna here. This is looking a lot better. Can you see how this has got a lot of green sections and one orange section here. So this traffic light system tells you that anything with a lot of red on here is not going to be very good for you, like the cheese. But this actually has quite a lot of green on there. So that's telling you that this is a lot healthier option. The orange one on there is for salt. Okay, so it's telling you that it's got a medium amount of salt in this food. So it's not too good for us as regard to how much salt is in it, but for fat and protein and carbohydrate, it is good. It's got lots of green. And two others now, just for you to have a look at. Here's some porridge. Okay, often people have this cereal breakfast in the morning. Can you see this porridge has got a mixture of green and orange? This has got orange on it because it's got added sugar. But it's good for your carbohydrate and it's good for salt. So that's a good start to the day. And oh, just undo this one. Is pasta. But hopefully you can see that that is all green. Okay, so that has got a lot of carbohydrate in it, but this has very low fat, low salt, low sugar. So lots of green on there. That's something that we should be having more of in our diets. If I go back to my porridge for us to have a look at, and maybe you could have a look at on whatever you've chosen as well. So often this type of labelling is on the front of your product. If you have a look at the side or sometimes the back, you get much more information here, which breaks down all of the nutrients. And it says this is the nutrient information. This will tell you what is in a food. And sometimes it tells you the energy that that food is giving you. Now, the energy comes from the carbohydrate. So this is telling you what is in the orange, which corresponds to the front, and the green sections. So have a look for that on whatever you have chosen. You'll also find on all packaging the ingredients. That means what's in the food. So the ingredients in this box of porridge is porridge oats, but actually it's got sugar and it's got some cinnamon because they are cinnamon flavoured ones. So but only 3 ingredients in this food. Some other foods that you might have chosen would have a long, long list of ingredients in there. Okay, let me just go back to sharing my screen. Good. Okay, hopefully you found some foods and you were able to find those labels on there. All foods in this country have to now, by law, have that sort of labelling so that it helps you make a choice of what sort of foods that you are eating every day. Okay, so all of those diagrams that we've looked at so far were to do with humans and what we should be eating. Very quickly, we're just going to have a look at other animals. So that what nutrients do animals need? So that guide that we just looked at is for human beings, but that's not for other animals. Some animals need to eat more of certain nutrients than others. And some of these animals have some special names or special terms. So some animals we can call carnivores. Now, carnivores eat other animals. They feed on other animals. Maybe you can just have a moment to think about what sort of animal might be a carnivore. The second type of animals could be called herbivores. These animals only eat plants. Can you think of any animals that could be in that group? And then finally, there's a group of animals which eat both plants and other animals, and these are called omnivores. So these animals eat both meat and plants. Can you think of any animals that could go into that group? Let's have a look. So we've got 3 different groups, our carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. What could go into that carnivore group? There's some examples like a lion, an eagle, and a snake. They only eat other animals. Our herbivore group, got sheep, horse, and a giraffe. They only eat plants. And what about that in-between group? These are the omnivores. These animals eat plants and animals. So that includes us as humans, rats, badgers, and pigs. Carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. You probably had some other animals which could fit into those groups. Let's look a little bit more closely. So a carnivore's diet is mostly made up of protein. Okay, and that gives them their energy, but it also gives them their vitamins and minerals and fats. So here's an example here. The poor old deer, I'm afraid, is going to get caught by the cheetah. And the cheetah is a carnivore because it only eats other animals. Here are some herbivores. Some herbivores eat a wide variety of plants, whereas others only eat one sort of plant. And obviously this means that they have to get all of their nutrients from the plants. So here's an elephant. An elephant is a herbivore. It eats branches of trees, the bark of the trees, fruit, grasses, and leaves, and it gets all of its nutrients from its diet. A koala only eats eucalyptus leaves. They don't give them a very high level of energy, so actually they have to eat almost constantly when they are awake, but as it says there, koalas sleep for 20 hours a day, therefore they don't need as much energy as you. And here are some omnivores. These are animals which eat both plants and animals. So the example there is a brown bear. It eats fish when it can catch them, but it also eats berries if they are available. And pandas, very famous for eating just bamboo, and pandas have to eat almost constantly to get the energy that they need from their food, but they will also eat rats or birds if they find them. Okay, so your task today. I would like you to complete a daily meal plan. Okay, make sure this has got a balance of nutrients. So what would you have as a healthy, balanced breakfast? Maybe a snack mid-morning. What would you have for lunch? A snack maybe in the afternoon, and what you would have for your tea or evening meal. You might want to add in there also the drinks that you would have for the day, but try to make sure that you are keeping a nice balanced diet for the whole of the day. Balance of the food groups and a balance of the nutrients. So like I said before, you wouldn't be having cheese on toast for breakfast, cheese on toast for your snack, cheese on toast for lunch, cheese on toast for your snack, and cheese on toast for tea. That's not going to be a very balanced day. And remember, my cheese is not particularly healthy, so that's the sort of food that we only have small amounts of. Your Go Deep today is to see if you can complete a daily meal plan for another animal of your choice. So that might be a meal plan for a dog or a cat or an elephant or a koala bear, okay? So could you have a think about what that daily meal plan would look like? And then if you want to think a little bit more deeply, explain why this is different from your meal plan and what would happen if you ate the same diet as one of those animals. What would happen if you had the same diet as an elephant? It wouldn't be very tasty, I know, but think about being scientific and answering that question scientifically, and think about the nutrients in the diet of an elephant compared to your diet. Okay, well done everybody. I hope you enjoy those activities today, and I will see you for your next science lesson.